Okay. Um, I haven't shot video for a couple of days. I wasn't feeling very well and kind of overextended myself a little bit in the outdoor weather. And I need to remember that I'm getting older. And yeah. So, anyway, um, I kind of lost track of where I was, even though I keep notes on these things. Um, you can see here I'm kind of holding up the little love puppy Love, and I've done quite a bit more work. In fact, got the head attached. Well, not completely. You can see I've got pins. I use a lot of pins and different kinds of pins to do different things. These are like the longer ones with the pearl ends. I use these a lot. If I can get this to focus, you can probably see what it is. To hold things on because they're a little longer. But then when I'm sewing, I tend to use these. Man, I cannot get that to focus. Anywho, I sat down and I worked on the puppy, and then I worked on the bunny a bit more. Bunny's head is attached, and I was trying to figure out what I wanted to show next. And I have a couple of different things in mind, but I wanted to kind of show you this is where things are. And then these things are all miraculously in focus. What I'm working on today, which is trying to get the arms and legs together for the animals. And you can see over here, I've started to cut some little pads that I'll be putting on here. And I do them in a very, very particular way. And then you can see also choosing my buttons for what's going to be attached. And part of that is based on what colors I'm using. And I gotta say, let me adjust this a bit. Oops, not that way. There, okay. I am not a camera person. That when I'm working on things, I personally get to certain points and then I have to kind of stop and look, because I was trying to figure out how I was even going to say this. It's like, how do I know that I want to put this one, this purple heart here, and this fuchsia one kind of over top of it, knowing that I want to use some of this blue. And this is more of that kind of aqua blue rather than like more of this blue, which I've sewed together the piece in. How do I know that I want to put that there? How do I know that I want the head at a little bit of an angle? And honestly, the method that I use, because I get things kind of where I want them, I start with one point and then I go to the next. So I put the purple one here, and I know I want the pink one here. So what color can I put there that is not this color and this color? That's basically how I do it. When it comes to the overall design of them, sometimes it's an out of the park for me, and sometimes it's really not. Looking at this little pup here, I really dislike this peach color, this peachy pink that I used here. So you can see I've made a change, and I've used a much paler pink for this heart, and then I added another one down here. Sometimes you just kind of have to, in artwork, deal with what you've got. So honestly, there are times when I'm choosing color and choosing where I'm going to put things, where there are two things that I'm running through my head. The first is, what color hasn't been used? Now with these pieces, I have a very specific color choices. I've chosen these colors. I'm working within the confines of these purples and these pinks and these blues. So that's my limitation. And for me, I then have to think about, what color haven't I used? So I'm looking here, and is the overall piece looking too violet? Is it looking too pink? So I have the pink eyes. I know I've got a pink nose. I put the pink heart here. So I know I don't want to use pink here. I've got to use something else. So do I want to use blue? Well, I've already put this blue one over here. So I've got to flip it around and see what color haven't I used. And knowing that for some of these pieces, like this one, this big purple one here, I wanted something to overlap. I didn't do that one until well after putting this one on. So I think that the way in which I works for me. I know that when it comes to when I'm finishing a piece, like I know I'm going to be adding sequence. I always call them, in my own personal life, I call them sequences. They aren't. It's sequins. When I start adding the sequins, I have another method that I go through, that I look at what color is missing to make the piece seem more color balanced. And I don't know when or why I started doing that. I just do it. And I list it in my head. When it comes to the overall design, I want to have things that are, for this particular piece, I didn't want things too even, because we already have the very evenness of the body, the very evenness of the head. It's very, very bilaterally symmetrical. So I chose to turn the head a little bit so it's not completely straight. I already know what kind of tail I'm going to make. So when it comes to these design choices, I'm kind of relying partially on my graphic design training for trying to create some rhythm through the piece. I debated over whether I wanted to put a heart up here. I'm still not sure, or how I would want to do it. So I'm not going to do it for now, and we'll see what happens. Same thing here. I made a heart and I put it around the dog tail. And now I'm kind of realizing that this is here, which means this balance is off to me. There's too much of this blue and purple, so I'm going to have to offset it somehow. And I'm not going to do that until I finished making the little bunghole and finish adding the little nip nops on. This is going to get a bow, so I'm not going to add any more onto this end. So it's a lot of stopping and looking at things to see where I'm going to go.